Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. And I had to just run on really quick because I had a spare moment and I wanted to share with you something that's happened for me this week. And it goes on the themes of kind of like what we talked about recently with a couple of guests on the podcast about being yourself, and also just choosing the moments of when it is safe to be yourself, and how we perceive ourselves to the world, project ourselves. But also I feel like I want to just talk specifically to the walnuts who feel like the Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Nice Gal, Mrs. Nice Gal, the recovering people pleasers of the Walnut Collective, where let me just tell you the story time and see what my waffly Laz-isms come up with. But I had a moment, and I'm on my period too, so it was a sensitive little moment. I just found really interesting and wanted to share with you. I was in a group situation, of course, so my voice goes all clubby and I don't know what to say and I feel put on the spot and everything. Where we were talking about, if you had to, beat up a baddie or say you were arresting a baddie, someone that was not good. And someone said, in front of everybody, oh, not Lara. She would be like, oh no, don't hurt that person. We're talking about if you like had someone on the ground and you were like holding their arms behind their back and everything. And they said, oh, not Lara though. Lara would be like, oh no, don't hurt them. She's so nice. She's such a nice girl. She wouldn't want anyone to get hurt. And I kind of like said, not if it was a baddie, not if it was someone who wasn't doing a good thing. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't be like, oh, bash him in the head and stab him in the eye, but I wouldn't behave that way. And I found that really funny. And then someone else pitched in and said, yeah, so nice. Have a happy day. Because Walnut, when I leave work or a lot of other, not even just work, social situations and things, I'll say, bye, have a happy day. Even when I used to work at like customer service on the checkouts, I'd be like, have a happy day. And I got really upset, not in front of everyone, but like because I'm on my period, I felt like that pang of like, oh, I want to start crying. But it kind of made me like reflect on like, oh gosh, you don't know me at all. You don't know me at all. And it made me feel like the statement that comes to mind is don't mistake my kindness for weakness. And I feel like Walnut, a lot of the time, and for a lot of my life, I have felt like I don't have a voice, like I am weak, because not necessarily because I am kind, but because I don't walk around saying, oh, fuck this and fuck. Oh, sometimes I do, but and it hit a nerve because comments, I think people who are very strong with their voice and with who they are and openly, probably a lot of the people who are very extroverted and very comfortable with just speaking and the voice, I say again, don't think about the people who are little introverticals, or the people who like to sit back and observe and listen to conversations or people watch, and think about who they necessarily are. And so I guess Walnut, and in this context, I was kind of the person who was telling the story was sort of like, oh, you don't know Lara. Like, imagine if the baddie was like strangling her dog. Like, I wouldn't behave that way. Not that I would even behave that way in general. It just kind of really like challenged my thinking into like, you don't know me. And I didn't feel like, oh, I need to prove myself, or like I need them to know that I wouldn't do that or anything like that. It just kind of made me think like, that's an interesting thing to say from your perspective, that you think of me that way. And I immediately felt like, oh, you perceive me as not able to stick up for myself just because I'm nice, or just because I wish everybody a happy day at the end of the day. And as you know, Walnut, I'm not a box of fluffy ducks a lot of the time. I think really deeply. We have some really scuba divey, deep throaty conversations where I feel the anger, and I'm sure you do too, Walnut, where you feel this rage. And sometimes it can feel really hard when your natural nature is to be happy or calm and collected, just because we're not punching holes in the walls, that we're perceived as not able to do the right thing, or not able to strike down a baddie or call it out if we see something that's not right. I just found it so interesting. And so, Walnut, what is my reason for sharing this episode? I want to kind of just say, if you're resonating with this, if you feel like you are kind, no, you probably are really kind, Walnut, that if you're listening to this. But it's just that, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. And just because you wish everyone a happy day, or just because you choose to peacekeep, storm into teapot situations that don't fucking matter, doesn't make you weak. And I spent a lot of time, especially in a sales role with lots of like eagle-eyed, competitive people, feeling like I was the weak link, feeling like I couldn't achieve something, feeling like a pushover, or like I got walked all over. But that is not the case, Walnut, if you feel this way, because in your heart, you can see reason. You can see if something is not right. And I'd like to think, Walnut, that you would be brave enough to find a situation or a way that you could express that for yourself. Not necessarily beat up and handcuff the baddies and punch holes in the walls to do that, but you would find a different way. You would find a way to speak to somebody who maybe had the authority to do that, or confide in a friend, or ask advice, or come into the walnut tree to get that expressed in the way that feels right for you. You wouldn't let someone who does this make sense, Walnut? I just like, there's so much I want to say on this topic, but it is, don't underestimate me. Don't underestimate yourself, because we are strong, we are brave, and it is so important to know what strengths we all have. And if being kind is a strength and a superpower, if feeling feelings, if being empathetic is your superpower, not to feel like you are less than. Because as we know, being in the Walnut Collective, how much we can achieve and how much power there is sometimes in keeping composed, not punching a hole in the wall, not saying fuck every 35 seconds and making everyone think that you're this hard ass. Oftentimes the people that are the loudest are the people that are struggling so much from within, because they don't feel seen, or they don't feel good enough, so they project that out. And yeah, I guess the same goes with when you're Mr. Nice Guy, yeah, bunny quotes. We can often feel like we're not strong, or we're not the brave ones. Yeah. So I hope this gives you a little bit of food for thought, Walnut. But if anything, this episode, I just want to reiterate for the 5 millionth time in this short little clip, don't underestimate your kindness for weakness. Don't mistake your kindness for weakness, because it is not weak. It is a superpower. You are brave, you are strong, you are beautiful. It is just articulated in a different way. It's like that quote, like about the fish climbing a tree, right? Like, you can ask a fish to climb a tree and tell it that it sucks, but think about it in a different context. Chuck the fish in the water with a leaf, and the fish would smash the leaf. It's like, we're all different. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. And please let it just water off a duck's back and bounce completely off of you if you get a comment like that, where it kind of pangs in your little heart, making you feel not worthy, or making you feel like you're not good at something just because someone with a stronger voice or a louder voice is screaming more than you when you don't feel like fucking screaming. Right? So, Walnut, don't mistake your kindness for weakness. You are kind and you are beautiful, and that is strong, just in a different way, just in a quieter way. It's not even a competition. It's not even you have to win anything. So that's really what I wanted to share this week. I'll say it one more time. Don't mistake your kindness for weakness. You are not weak. And I felt like I'd rush onto this. Like, didn't even plug in my delicious camera or anything. I just opened my laptop and shoved my microphone in, because I feel like there is a Walnut that needs to hear this. And if it's you, please let me know, Walnut, and tell me if you've had a story where you've been in a situation where someone's made a comment about you that you kind of have clung on to. I even said to Geordie, I was like, people made fun of me yesterday. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, yeah, they said this and blah, blah, whatever. He just told you. And he said, oh, shit. They don't know you at all. Because Geordie says I'm crazy. But yeah, it's just interesting how we project ourselves, and how people perceive you of what you give out as well, and what we make mean of comments like that when we get them back. I'm just being myself, and sometimes like I've said before, the universe will plonk things in front of your nose to challenge you and be like, are you sure you want to be yourself? Because here's a comment that past Laz would have really held on to and made me feel like shit and made me feel not worthy. So please, Walnut, water off a duck's back. You are not weak if you are kind. And on the other end of that, if you are loud, you're not insecure. You're not projecting out. Oh, I'm contradicting myself now. I can hear it coming out of my voice. I'm going to wrap up, because I know that you get what you mean, but please, Walnut, don't ever think of yourself as weak or less than, or not worthy of something just because you have behaved or projected out how you are. You've just been your true self. Please water off a duck's back any comment like that. And you can do that by taking a walk, taking a shower, doing all of the walnutty things that we've talked about before, just to get rid of that energy. But I would love to know what you think, and if you have been in a situation like this. And more than anything, I would love for you to know your worth, and know how strong you are, how brave you are, how beautiful you are, and how much you deserve a seat at all of the tables as yourself, not as anything else other than that. So be you, be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. So I hope you decide to be brave. Have a happy Walnut Wednesday, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.